Hi everyone, this is Alex and welcome to your IELTS writing classes with JIC Online. Now in this video, we're going to continue with vocabulary and sentence structures that you can use in your body paragraphs. But before we talk about body paragraphs, let's discuss about planning first. You see, planning is spending 3 to 5 minutes to identify the main points, the highest, lowest, and odd trends, as well as to compare the similarities and contrast the differences. Planning helps tremendously in organizing ideas and in managing your time, since you already have an idea on what to write in the overview and body paragraphs. Now let's move on and talk about the trends. Now, what are trends? Trends are the movements that happen over time in line graphs. These are some of the verbs that you can use to describe movements. An upward trend shows that the line in the graph is going up. The verbs rise, climb, go up, grow, increase, rocket, or shoot up are verbs that you can use to describe this trend. Now, bear in mind that the last two, rocket and shoot up, are used to denote a sudden increase. While a downward trend shows that the line in the graph is going down, it's the opposite of the upward trend. Now, decrease, drop, decline, fall, go down, plummet, or plunge are the verbs that you can use to describe this. Again, the last two, plummet, plunge, are used to describe the sudden decrease. And finally, a stable trend shows that the line in the graph doesn't show any movement. Remain or stay constant, steady, stable, and unchanged are the verbs that you can use to describe this. A constant change shows that the line in the graph is always either moving up or moving down. So the verbs that you can use here are fluctuate or move erratically. Now, it is also advised to use these verbs with adverbs to describe the trends better. So in your writing, you can say increase or decrease, and then sharply or quickly. You can use also significantly, moderately, or slightly. By using these adverbs, you can describe the movements in a more detailed and precise manner. You have to keep in mind that some of these verbs can also be used as nouns in sentences. In this sentence, the export of Canada increased to 25 million tons in 1988. For example, the word increased here is used as a verb. Now in the next sentence, you can see that this verb is used as a noun. There was an increase of 25 million tons in the export of Canada in 1988. Now, the word increase here is used as a noun set off by the article an. It is also recommended that you use adjectives when using nouns in describing trends. Now, let's discuss comparisons. To make comparisons and contrasts, we use the comparative and superlative forms of adjectives. Comparative forms of adjectives are used to compare two things in the graph. For comparison, we can use higher or lower. Take this for example. The exports in Australia was lower than the other two countries in 1985. Also, you can use more, fewer or lesser or lower, plus the noun. Australia had fewer exports than the other two countries in 1985. Superlative forms, on the other hand, are used to describe three or more things in the graph. To indicate the adjective is in the superlative form, we use the plus est form. For example, we have the highest, the most, the least, or the lowest. Australia had the least exports at 15 million tons among the three countries in the initial year. Now here's a tip for you. Always pay attention to time. Your verb tenses must reflect this accurately. Use the past tense to talk about the years before the current year. If there are any projections in the future, use the expression will, or be expected to, or be projected to. Take, for example, these years, 1985, 2001, 2019. When you have these years, we use the past tense to describe the movements or trend in these years. Now, if you have 2022, 2030, or 2033, we use the future tense for these years, so we can use will, be expected to, or be projected to. Prepositions are used to indicate figures and numbers in the graph. The prepositions at, with, from, to are used with trends, while the preposition by is used to indicate how much is the change. Let's take a look at this example. The export of Canada increased by around 8 million tons from approximately 17 million in 1986 to exactly 25 million tons after 2 years. And here's another tip for you. Some figures are not exact, so you have to use expressions to approximate these numbers. In approximation, you can use approximately, roughly, around, almost, just a little over, or just a little under. Aside from trends and figures, time expressions are one of the details to be included in your report. These pinpoint when the movement occurs. It also helps you to determine which verb tense to use and help you with your organization of the report. Expressions can be as simple as in 1985, by 1988, in the next year, after 3 years, or over a 6-year period. And another tip for you, always be mindful of grammar. Let's take a look at the sample paragraphs for the line graph of wheat exports. The main features are organized by country: Australia, Canada, and the European Community. In the first sentence, the figures of how many tons Australia exported was given in the initial year and by how much it increased in the next year. The conjunction, however, shows the decline in 1990. I'll give you another tip. Report the figures in the first and last years. The following sentence describes how the export in Canada fluctuated starting at the initial year to the final year. In the final sentence, it reports about the figures in the European Community. It's a passive sentence with 17 million tons as the subject, and the noun exports is used as a verb, be exported, and the conjunction but is used to express a change in movement in 1986. The verbs rose and increase are verbs to express the rising trends. Now, to summarize, the report showed the main features, the trends, figures, and time expressions, and it is organized by countries from the first year to the last. Vocabulary was paraphrased with synonyms and changed in word forms. There's a variety of sentence structures you can use as well. This report, however, can be improved by adding more comparisons, countries, and trends over the years. Now for your homework, write the body paragraphs for the line graph in the previous video where you did the introduction and overview. Use the tips, vocabulary, and structures discussed in this video. So that is your IELTS writing lesson for today. Once again, this is me, Alex, with JIC Online, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye!